Hello, and welcome to the Hamumu Halloween Home Horror Hoedown.
The podcast where we watch 31 horror movies throughout the hallowed month of October.
Ranging from the critically acclaimed to film school projects gone gruesomely awry.
And we take them all way too seriously.
I'm your host, Mike Hummel.
And I'm your host, Sully Hummel.
Now warning, we use a ghoulish number of spoilers, so watch the movies first.
Second warning, we don't know anything about anything, so don't take us seriously while we take these movies seriously. Today, we are talking about One Cut of the Dead.
2017 Japanese movie subtitles.
Where did we watch this? Was it on Shudder?
It was on Shudder. I've been enjoying Shudder. We just picked it up because there were a couple movies that were only available on it, and we got a free week, when you first sign up. And I guess we're paying for a month of it because it's chock full of great hits.
It is. This is one of those movies where I feel compelled to tell you, dear listener, to stop listening and go watch this movie before you go any further into this podcast.
Well, I kind of feel like there's a spoiler you should know before you watch the movie. Because otherwise you'll see it at the beginning and you'll be like, this is not a very good movie.
Okay, so just take our word for it. This is a movie you want to watch.
It gets better.
We'll talk more about that after you come back.
Uh-oh.
Go watch. Welcome back. Good job.
Welcome back.
Okay. I already have a disagreement with you.
Well, no, what I would say about this is that the initial movie, the movie they're making, is enjoyable and I liked it. But
the initial movie, 30 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
But the movie gets much better after that. And I think a lot of people will be very turned off. Because part of the thing about that initial movie is that there are parts of it that are outright bad, intentionally.
Yes. There are, but not so outright bad that I was like, this is worse than any.
Yeah.
It's just a fun to watch B-movie style horror schlocky thing. Like, and the kind that I would have rated highly had the movie just been like that.
Yeah, it has a lot of weirdly awkward scenes. And
yes.
Part of the amazing thing is that you find out why they're weirdly awkward.
Oh, it's so brilliant. So brilliant. Okay, so the first 30 minutes of it are definitely a schlocky B horror film.
Yeah, just zombies attacking people.
The rest of it, in my eyes, not a horror film at all.
Not at all. And the problem with this movie is it had to be horror. It's got a lot of big gore moments and stuff, so they couldn't do anything else with it, which is a shame because it is a lighthearted, fun family romp.
Oh, it is a farcical, ridiculous, chaotic, amazing story. It was the best. You mentioned, while we were watching it, Noises Off. And
yes.
It is the zombie version of Noises Off, basically.
Yeah. It has this sitcom music all yes. repeatedly throughout it. We're like, oh, you again.
Well, and very sitcom feel of what's going on in the majority of the movie. The dad is, having trouble connecting with his daughter.
Uh-huh.
There's, he has this job where he's working with all these people who are difficult and refuse to do their jobs properly. But don't worry,
Sully. They all learn a lesson in the end.
They do. They do. Even the father, the director, who, kind of finds his backbone.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so much fun.
It was.
Okay.
That's all.
I don't know what else to say about this movie.
The end.
I just loved it.
I have something to say. Pum!
You've escaped. You've escaped from my not quite touching you circle of arms.
Yes. And I did it by clearly shouting, Pum!
Okay, so in the horror part of the movie, there was a point where I was like, oh, this is what I wanted April Fool's Day to be like. This was before I realized that it really was zombies. That it was just actual zombies had really attacked them making a movie about zombies attacking. And I fully thought...
So many layers.
Right? And I fully thought the director was faking it all in order to get the actress to like emote properly, right? Yeah. And when she hacked off her coworker's head, I was like, and that's why you don't prank people.
That's why you always leave a note.
Yes. And I loved that. I mean, that's part of why that whole first half hour of it just worked for me. Like, there were so many layers to it that were fun for me. And I just, like, that was one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Well, my favorite part was long. It was probably a little more than 35 minutes. It was the end of the movie where we're watching them redo the movie that we saw at the beginning. And the whole thing, minute after minute, is just a nonstop stream of, oh, that's why that was like that. Just the whole way through. It's like revelations on end. And they're stupid little revelations, but they're fun.
And also what makes it fun is I was taking notes through the first half hour and I was like, oh, I don't understand why this, or here's a plot hole, or why did they keep the camera on the screaming actress for so long? Like, all of those little things, like you said, we're watching the last half hour of the movie and I'm like, oh, that's why. Oh.
It was funny.
It was really funny. One of the big, or several of the big revelations were around the camera work, because in the horror film piece of it, like, we actually stopped the movie. Like, I stopped the movie, I paused it, and I was like, is there a cameraman or is there not a cameraman? Like, is the character holding the camera or is it just a camera? I'm so confused.
Yeah, because they don't acknowledge the cameraman mostly. And then at one point, the guy playing a director in the movie is like, keep shooting to the camera. And you're like,
who has not been a character up until that point?
How is this a person?
And then he stops being a character again. And then a little while later, like, a hand comes and like rubs blood off the lens, and you're like, wait, so there is a person?
Yeah, and that seems very strange, doesn't it?
It does. Only it's all answered later on. Oh, and why does the cameraman lay on the ground and leave the camera still for so long during the one fight scene, and then suddenly get up and chase after again? I was like, what? Did the character holding the camera die? What's going on?
No, there was no character holding
There was no character holding the camera. It was all them just having to do it as a live action single take.
Yeah, live action. Wow.
Well, and I liked that the two ends of the movie, like the first one was the live action single take, the way it was, like the way the people watching TV saw it happen. And then the last half hour was the exact same thing, only we weren't seeing it as a single take. We were seeing like the behind the scenes of the single take, but it was still live action, like real time. Like, you know, you could see they were having to slap on makeup and stuff.
Which that was fun.
Yes.
And that was not one cut by any means. That was all, you know, cut up and professionally done, unlike the original. And something I noticed was that that what we were seeing, not surprisingly, was not really them filming it. I mean, they did a really good job of like acting exactly the same as they did in the filmed version. But
where did you notice differences?
I noticed, well, all I had to notice was when Yamagoe's head is chopped off, the camera that was filming the fake movie comes out towards us. And so he would have caught the real cameraman actually filming this movie if that had been the actual shot they used.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. That's interesting. I didn't catch that. I wasn't like it. I should have. You're right. But I was too caught up in like watching what was going on in the doorway and like how they were throwing the body in and splashing the blood down and like people were ducking underneath where the camera was showing and everything.
And then during the credits of this movie, we actually got the movie again for a third time where we actually saw them really filming the 35-minute movie.
Right. So they were filming the filming of the filming.
Yes.
It was so meta. There were so many layers to this movie.
Yeah. That was fun.
It was fun.
during the original 35 minutes, I was just getting so worn out just watching the lead actress doing it. You know, whether it's fake or real, she's just going for 35 minutes straight running. And in between running, whenever she stops running, she has to be screaming.
Right.
And she's like, she sounded so exhausted. And she was like, it was when she was going up the stairs and she's like plodding up the stairs. I'm like, yep, I feel it. It does not feel good to watch you do this.
It was definitely an intense acting for the lead actress, the lead actor, and the lady who was playing the makeup lady.
Yeah.
They had a lot of, like, they didn't have any breaks in between until, like, the makeup lady died.
And she got to take a break unconscious.
Right. Got choked out / died. So in between filming these two, or, you know, seeing them film these two things, there was the chunk where we meet the actors who were playing the roles in this movie. And they're all terrible. Like, the actress is just, she's all fakey. Diva. She is. She's very fakey. She's all like smiles and sweetness, but she's like refusing to do things that she's been asked to do in a smiley, sweet way.
And blaming it on her agency.
Right. Oh, I would love to be vomited on, but my agency says no.
I would love it.
And then the main actor is this like really pretentious kid who, you know, one of those star. Like, right, he's a big star, but he's also one of those like, what is my motivation behind this scene sort of people, and like causing all kinds of disruption because he doesn't believe things would go the way they go. So, and then there's the guy who plays the assistant director who is a drunk and like clearly is going, you know, you can see that there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And, he's like, the most depressing scene of the whole movie is when he's like laughing about how his alcoholism is like driving his daughter away from him. But then, like, you know, you could tell he's laughing to cover up the fact that he's like truly devastated by this. And it was agonizing.
Yeah.
And then there's the guy who plays the director of photography, who's all like, oh, is this hard water? I can only drink soft water. I'm not entirely sure what the difference is.
I was wondering if they were speaking of fizzy water versus regular, you know, like in France where they ask you flat, what is it, still or sparkling?
Sparkling, yeah, maybe. But then, like, it looked like his water was just the same old water with a special label put on it.
Yeah. Well, clearly it had an impact.
There was something about it because then, you know, he gets like mad diarrhea because he drank like one sip of the wrong kind of water.
Yeah.
Which then disrupts his whole process during the filming, of course. But I liked how all of those things also played into how the filming of this cheesy B horror movie played out. Like that the director, you know, reached in and found his spine because he got to tell the actress how fakey she was and got to tell the actor what a little spoiled brat he was.
Yes, and this is my movie.
Right? It was super fun.
Yes. I mean, I have a whole bunch of notes, but they're all from when we were watching the fake movie, and I had complaints, and they were all answered and explained, and I'm just like, all right, no problem. So
I only have 1 page of notes, which is probably fewer notes than I've taken for any of the movies so far. Not because I wasn't engaged in it, but because I was so engaged in it that when it switched, I was like just fascinated, captivated, paying attention to what was going on. And I never stopped to write anything down.
Yeah.
Although part of it too was that it's really hard to take a lot of notes and watch a subtitled movie at the same time.
Yeah.
You miss things.
Well, as long as you're interested in the movie, that becomes a problem.
Right. Which I was.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let's find out how interested you were in the movie.
Ratings. The only challenge that I have to rating this movie is that only about a third of it really counts as a horror movie.
You're judging a movie.
I know. But I feel like if this third of the movie had come at the end, we might not have continued watching this movie for this purpose. Like, it wouldn't have qualified as a horror movie.
But that if that was at the end, then we would have been like, whoa, okay.
Maybe.
I mean, it was zombies.
Considering that there are some, like, psychological thrillers that you've said don't qualify.
There are rules.
Like, this one is definitely skirting the rules in a big way.
It definitely is. This is not a horror plot by any means.
But what I'm doing there is I'm taking into consideration how you feel about the movie, and that shouldn't really matter at all for my rating. So you know what?
You're right.
I'm giving this movie a 5 because I love Noises Off style storytelling, like all of that, people running in and out of doors and narrow misses.
Movie.
All of that is amazing to me. Ridiculous, people falling down. Everything tying together, though, like it all comes together. It's not sloppy.
That's what's fun.
It's just slapstick, but it's tight, so it works.
Yeah.
And this definitely did that very well. I liked the characters. I liked the kind of cheeseball, like melodramatic way that everybody was acting. And the horror part of it, if that had been the story, the plotline of a whole movie that we had watched, I would be rating it pretty high.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give it a 5, but I would definitely have rated it well because I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was twisty and it's still, like, even though it had some sloppy parts, it wouldn't have detracted from the fact that it was an interesting story and they were telling it in an interesting way. So I am going to give this movie 5 bloody pentagrams out of 5.
Okay.
One of the things I really liked about it was that, I mean, so this has been a very short review. I think this is shorter than any review we've had in all of the times that we've done reviews. It's because even though this movie has a few deep things like, you know, parental connecting with kids and you know, there's some relational stuff in there. Even the deep stuff is fairly lighthearted, and it was just fun. Like, this movie was a vacation for my mind.
Yeah.
And
it's a very fun movie.
I don't know. Usually we either spend a lot of time complaining about it, and I don't have a lot of complaints, or we spend a lot of time going way into the meaning behind what the movie was trying to teach us.
I don't think we needed to learn anything.
And I didn't feel like that was an important thing. So the brevity of this review comes from how it just was exactly the right kind of comedy horror that I needed today.
I'm glad we found it. We've said everything. It's fun. It's so fun. And it's funny. And it's so clever the way it all works together that it's just great. So I give it 5 bloody pentagrams out of 5 because it's great. Like, what else are you going to do?
I do not know. This movie, like, came out of nowhere for me. Like, I did not expect, I was expecting that this was going to be like a 3 kind of movie. I was expecting it was going to be the kind of movie that the first half hour of it is.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine. And it would have been ridiculous. There would have been things that made me mad about it, but I would have enjoyed watching it anyway.
The reason I chose this movie was a bunch of people had been saying they saw this movie and it was great. And, you know, they were rating it 4 or 5 stars. And they were saying things like, don't give up. It resets at the 35-minute mark. And we were watching it and it gets to this point where the actress is left all by herself. She's found an axe and said, lucky me. And she's hiding in a shed. And I feel like, what's happening? You know, I definitely got the vibe that she was going to go nuts and kill the rest of the cast, which is kind of where it went, but not really. But also, I was like, this thing, it looks like it's turning, like it's going to start being a real movie all of a sudden instead of this over-the-top silliness. And I didn't know where it was going. I did not expect where it actually went.
No, because it did turn. It just turned to more over-the-top, more silliness.
It got really silly. Because it's in the horror genre, even through the sitcom-y stuff in the middle, I kept thinking, when they get to work on this film, it's going to end up real zombies are going to attack them. I mean, they have to, right? Or somebody's going to go crazy and kill everyone.
Right.
But
right, you kept waiting for some kind of actual horror thing to happen. But no, it was just a movie about making a horror movie.
Yeah, it's the horror of dealing with actors.
Yes.
Which I think it probably resonates very well in Hollywood.
Probably. Maybe that's why it had so many good reviews.
Yeah, they were real happy to see that. Everyone was like, I know people like that. That's not me, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And all the people around them are like, yeah, no, nothing like you at all.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, then this is just going to be short and to the point. Wow.
And I hope you guys have already seen this movie because you shouldn't have listened to this, but now you have. So see it anyway. I don't think we spoiled it badly enough that it matters. Go see it.
Definitely. And even if you don't like horror movies, it's not even really a horror movie.
No.
Like, it's not at all.
Yeah, all the gore is very fake, and there isn't really just a few different gory bits.
Yeah. Most of it's off screen. Most of it's obvious fake blood splashed on things.
Especially when you see them actually do the splashing.
Right? And it's funny. All right. I'm out.
I'm out too. My name is Mike, and I am a gameaholic.
Come on, you can rap better than that.
And I'm here to say I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
It needs a little rhythm.
My name is Mike, and I'm here to say I love Fruity Pebbles in a major way.
Yeah.
Yes. We're not using that. We will not use that.
I want you to save it for me, though.
No. What would you do with that? You would
Someday
do
I
nothing.
might want to listen to it.
No, you wouldn't.